Good morning, everyone. My name is Rance Jaron, and I'm about to discuss these three topics: given information and new information, topics, and contrast. For the first topic, let us now tackle about the given information and new information. Now, what is the difference between given and new information? Given information is the information currently in the forefront of the addressee's mind. In short, the given information is assumed by the speaker to be known by the addressee. In short, again, given information is a common knowledge between the speaker and the addressee, while the new information is the information just being introduced into the discourse. The new information is the information that is not assumed by the speaker to be known by the addressee. In short, the new information is established in the discourse. It is just being established in discourse rather. Here is an example. Alice said, "Who ate the pizza?" Dana answered, "Erin ate the pizza." As you can see, the noun phrase Erin represents the new information because it is being introduced into the discourse. Erin answered the question who, while the word pizza in the reply of Dana is given information because it can be presumed to be in the mind of Alice, who has just introduced it into the discourse in the previous term. The word pizza is already introduced by Alice, so we can distinguish it as the given information. However, the given information doesn't need to be introduced into a discourse by a second speaker. In the following example, is uttered by a single speaker only. The highlighted element, which is the word he, represents the given information because it has just been introduced in the previous sentence and can therefore be assumed to be in the addressee's mind. A man called while you were on your break. He said he'd call back later. The word he represents the man. For us to identify the given information and new information easier, take note of this. The given information is commonly expressed in more reduced or abbreviated ways. Typical reducing devices for encoding given information include pronouns and unstressed pronoun phrase. For the new information, noun phrases representing new information usually receive more stress than those carrying given information and are commonly expressed in a more elaborate fashion. Let us now proceed to topics. The topic of a sentence is its center of attention, what it's about, and its point of departure. Often, given information is the sentence element about which we say something. In short, it is the topic, while the new information represents what we say about the topic, or what we call the comment. Thus, if Erin ate the pizza is offered in answer to the question, "What did Erin do?" the topic would be Erin. Erin is the given information. The comment would be ate the pizza. It is the new information. However, the topic is not always the given information. In the second sentence of the sequence below, the noun phrase "her little sister" is not the given information. It is the new information, but it is still the topic. Erin ate the pizza. As for her little sister, she preferred ice cream. Take note that in the phrase her little sister, the word her anchors the new information to the given information, represented by Erin. In conversations, we often first establish a topic with a preliminary remark or question and only then make a comment about it. Sheila said, "Remember that guy I said was pestering me?" Imon replied, "Yeah." Then Sheila replied again, "Well, he fell off his bike in front of the whole class today." Notice Sheila's second term. The word he is the topic. The sentence, "fell off his bike in front of the whole class today," is the comment. "Fell off his bike in front of the whole class today" says something about he. Given information can sometimes serve as a comment too, as in the underlying element of the following sequence. Hal didn't believe anything Jonathan said. As for Sarah, she believed it all. Let's now proceed to my last topic, the contrast. A noun phrase is said to be contrasted when it occurs in opposition to another noun phrase in the discourse. Here is the example. Alan asks, "Did Matt see the ghost?" Then Beth replied, "No, Sarah did." Sarah, in Beth's answer, is contrasted with Matt and Alan's question, because Sarah didn't agree with Matt. Contrast Beth's answer with another possible one in which the noun phrase would not be contrasted. We can say, "Yes, they did." Contrast is also marked in sentences that express the narrowing down of a choice from several candidates to one. In such sentences, the noun phrase that refers to the candidate thus chosen is marked contrastably. Here is an example again. Of everyone present, only Sarah knew what was going on. The word Sarah opposes the word everyone. Compare the sentence with the following one, in which Sarah is not contrasted. Gerard knew what was going on, and Sarah did too. Sarah agreed with the word Gerard, because Sarah and Gerard both knew what was going on. Therefore, they are not contrasted. A simple test is this for contrast. If a noun phrase can be followed by rather than, therefore we can say it is contrasted. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something from me. This is Rance Jaron the Lemon saying always wear your mask outside and keep safe, y'all.
Hey there, classmates. I am Maria, Alicia, Lorraine, Gapuz, and my report is just a continuation of the report of Mr. Rance about the categories and information structure. Aside from given topic and topics, contrast, we still have three categories and information structure. Those are definite expression, referential expressions, generic and specific expressions. So let's start with definite expressions. From the root word itself, we will be able to partly know the meaning of this category. So when we say definite, it means that something or someone referred to is clearly defined or determined. But what is definite expression? When we say definite expression, a speaker can mark a noun phrase definite when they assume that the addressee can identify its referent. We have here an example. So in this example, the definite noun phrase, the neighbor, in Bundy's answer, presupposes that Andrea can determine which neighbor Bundy is talking about. So the speaker, Bundy, Bundy's answer will be only appropriate or considered as definite if she and Andrea have only one neighbor or is expecting a particular neighbor. It is important to know that definiteness in English and many other languages is marked by the choice of articles, the versus a, or by demonstratives this and that. Here are some examples: the banana, the canoe, the young shoot. So it is evident that all this example uses the article the. So indefinite expression is a counterexample of definite expression. Again, as an example, we will be using Andrea and Bundy, but this time, Bundy's answer will be indefinite. This will happen if they have several neighbors and Bundy cannot assume that Andrea, the addressee, will be able to identify which neighbor is at the door. Again, note that indefiniteness in English are marked by articles a and an, or by the absence of any article. Examples: a banana, a canoe, a young shoot. It is evident again that it uses the article a. Pronouns and proper nouns are generally definite, but there are exceptions. In this example, I have a Susie Smith here who hasn't paid her taxes since 1997. Okay? In that example, the use of indefinite article a marks Susie Smith as indefinite. So why? The clerks can do this because neither the speaker nor the addressee knows the particular individual who goes by the name Susie Smith. Definiteness must be distinguished from givenness because a noun phrase can be indefinite and no, definite and no, indefinite and given, or definite and given, with the first and last combination being the most common ones. Here this example: last night we went to the Hayden Planetarium for a lecture and the lecturer fainted. A lecture is indefinite and no because it uses the article a and lecture is a no in form. The lecturer is definite and given because it uses the article the, and lecturer is already a given topic. Next, we have the referential expression. What is referential expression? In referential expression, a noun phrase is referential when it refers to a particular entity. We have here an example. Kate wants to marry an Italian with blue eyes. His name is Mario. Okay. An Italian with blue eyes is referring to Mario particularly. Thus, this expression is an example of a referential expression. We also have here another example, but this one is non-referential, which is a counter-example of a referential expression. So the example goes like this. Kate wants to marry an Italian with blue eyes, but she hasn't met one yet. In the second example, the expression an Italian with blue eyes does not refer to anyone particularly. Therefore, it is non-referential. Referentiality and definiteness are not the same thing. Because when we say referentiality, it refers to a noun phrase that is pertaining to a particular entity. While definiteness is when a speaker can assume, or the speaker can assume, that the addressee can identify the referent. Because of this, a noun phrase can be referential and definite, referential and indefinite, non-referential and definite, or non-referential and indefinite. It is important to know that pronouns and proper nouns are usually referential, but certain pronouns such as you, it, they, and are often non-referential because they do not particularly refer to a entity. We are now on the last category, which is the generic and specific expressions. So in generic and specific expressions, a noun phrase may be generic or specific depending on whether it refers to a category or to a particular member of a category. So when it's generic, it refers to a category or the whole population. If it's specific, it refers to a particular member of a category or just a sample or just a part of the population. Okay, take a look at these examples. The first example, the book discusses the bombardier beetle which squirts a little mixture into the face of its enemy. So the noun phrase the bombardier beetle is generic because all the bombardier beetles squirts little mixture into the face of its enemy. Okay, in the next example, the giraffe bent slowly forward and gingerly took a carrot from my hand. So the noun phrase the giraffe is specific because it refers to a particular animal. It refers to a particular giraffe. Not all the giraffe bent down slowly and get a carrot from the hand of the speaker. So it is specific. Note that generic and specific contrast is different from the definite and indefinite contrast. Okay. Let's use this example again. The book discusses the bombardier beetle which squirts a little mixture into the face of its enemy. So the noun phrase the bombardier beetle is generic and indefinite. A little mixture is generic, or rather, the bombardier beetle is generic and definite, and a little mixture is generic and indefinite. So we can see that it uses the different articles. It uses the article the, and the lethal mixture uses the article a, but still it states generic. Same goes here on the other example. The giraffe is specific and definite. A carrot is still specific, but it's now indefinite. So through this, we can say that it differs from each other because the generic and specific expressions don't base on the articles used. Okay. To end my report, we should understand that information structure is not marked solely on noun phrases. We can use other parts of speech also, like verbs and prepositions. Ayan. Verbs can represent given or new information and can also be contrastive. Prepositions can sometimes be marked for information structure like contrastive marking. That's all for my report. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Joy Goto, and I'm going to discuss to you the information structure, intonation, morphology, syntax, and the different strategies to encode pragmatic information. And I hope you will learn from this video. Keep on watching! Information structure, intonation, morphology, syntax. Let us define the differences between intonation, morphology, and syntax. So intonation is the rise and fall in the sound of your voice, according to Merriam-Webster. And morphology is the study and description of how words are formed in language, while syntax is the way in which words are put together to form phrases, clauses, or sentences. So languages differ in how much pragmatic information they encode and in how they encode it. In many languages, intonation is used to mark contrast. While intonation is an important tool for making information structure in English, it is less important for information structure in languages such as French and Chinese. Other languages such as Japanese have function words whose sole purpose is to indicate pragmatic categories. Still others, including English, depend on syntactic structures such as passives to convey pragmatic information. Thus, different are the sampling strategies. Number 1 is new information skills. In English and some other languages, intonation is an important device for marking information. Generally, noun phrases representing new information receive stronger stress than those representing given information, and they are uttered on a slightly higher pitch than the rest of the sentence. So this is our example. Whose footmarks are these on the sofa? They're loose footmarks. English speakers also exploit stress to mark contrast. Another one is, are these your footmarks on the sofa? They're not mine, they're loose. They told Hal he needed 2 more years to graduate, but they gave Sarah full clearance. Then phonetically, new information stress and contrastive stress are similar, but functionally they differ. English uses stress in complex ways, much more so than such languages as French and Chinese. So the second one is information structure morphemes. Some languages have grammatical morphemes whose sole function is to mark categories of information structure. In Japanese, the function word wa, which is placed after noun phrases, marks either givenness or contrastiveness. When a noun phrase is neither given nor contrastive, it is marked with a different function word, usually ga for subjects and for direct objects. That wa is a marker of given information is illustrated by the following exchange. So, example, basuga kimasuka, or the bus. Subject ka. Then, the question is the bus coming? Next, basu wa kimasu, bus. Given coming is, so the bus is coming. In Ken's question, basu would not be marked with wa unless he and Kimiko had been talking about the bus in the previous discourse. But in Kimiko's answer, basu is given information and must be marked with. So the Japanese wa also marks contrastive information, as in the following sentence like this: basu wa kimasu, demo takushi wa kimasen. Bus contrast coming is, but taxi contrast coming isn't. That's why the bus is coming, but the taxi isn't coming. Then here, basuwa need not represent given information, for wa can simply mark the fact that the noun phrase to which it is attached is in contrast with another noun phrase also marked with wa, takushi, or taxi. Many other languages use function words to mark categories of information structure. So this is the most transparent way of marking information structure. Such grammatical morphemes as Japanese wa do not affect the overall shape of a sentence. Or rather, in a straightforward fashion, we point out which element of a sentence is given, which is contrastive, and so forth. Then the third one is fronting. Among several syntactic operations that serve to mark information structure is fronting. Because it operates in many languages, although its exact function varies from language to language. In English, it creates sentence 1 from the structure underlying sentence 2, which has the same meaning. So these are examples. A boy, he may be, but just a boy, he is certainly not. The second one is, he may be a boy, but he is certainly not just a boy. So both sentences has the same meaning. English, one function of fronting is to mark givenness. The fronted noun phrase must represent given information. For an instance, I heard that you really like mushrooms. And Bert said, mushrooms I'd kill for. So here, a noun phrase can be fronted if its referent is part of a set that has been mentioned previously in the discourse, even though the referent itself may not have been mentioned now. So, in the following example, barnyard is a eponym of family noise is mentioned in the question asked of gardening cows arcade that immediately precedes the fronted noun phrase. The result is pragmatically accepted. So, let me say, did you deliberately make two family movies back to back? No, barnyard, I did when I was breastfeeding. Therefore, fronted noun phrases are often contrastive in English. For example, do you like Madonna? I like her early songs, but Madonna herself, I'm not crazy about them. So, fronted noun phrases do not always have the same function in other languages as they do in English. In Mandarin Chinese, fronted noun phrases are commonly used to represent the topic of the sentence. So, examples given are Zay Ben Shu Busy Hen Ham An. So, that is an example of Mandarin Chinese. Then this classifier book cover very good looking. That's why this book, the cover is nice looking. Second one is the same. It's Mandarin Chinese. This classifier exhibition, I see very many paintings. That's why at this exhibition, I saw many paintings. Then, what is interesting about Chinese fronted noun phrases is that they do not necessarily have a semantic role in the rest of the sentence. In the following sentence, for example, mogu or mushrooms, it cannot be a patient because the sentence already has a patient. They get don't say that sort of thing. Yet the sentence is both grammatical and pragmatically acceptable. For example, mogu. Bo hen shua shan he they get don't thing. Or mushroom. I very like it. This classifying thing. Or mushrooms. I like to eat that sort of thing. Furthermore, fronted noun phrases do not need to be contrastive in Chinese, though they frequently are in English. The comparison of English and Chinese fronting illustrates an important point, so these are its important points. It is a grammatical process, such as a movement operation, may have comparable syntactic properties in two languages, but its pragmatic functions may differ considerably. However, there are more strategies to encode pragmatic structure, and the next reporter will be the one to discuss the remaining strategies.
Left dislocation is an affirmation that derives sentences such as one from the same underlying structures as basic sentences such as 2. 1. Holy, I can't stand her. 2. I can't stand holy. Though left dislocation is syntactically similar to the fronting, there are several differences between the two. In particular, a fronted noun phrase does not live in a sentence, whereas a left dislocated noun phrase does. In these phrases, wholly I can't stand is the fronting and wholly I can stand her is a left dislocation. Unlike fronted noun phrases, a left dislocated noun phrases is set off from the rest of the sentence by a very short pause, represented in writing via a comma. Left dislocation is similar in nature and function to right dislocation, which moves the noun phrases to the right of a sentence. I can't stand her wholly. So the key for this is the words right and left. But in this discussion, we will concentrate to the left dislocation. So left dislocation is used primarily to reintroduce given information that has not been mentioned for a while. In the following long example, the speaker lists a number of people and comments on them. Hal mentioned early in the discourse is reintroduced in the last sentence because nothing has been said about him in the previous two sentences. The speaker reintroduces Hal as a left dislocated noun phrases. So this is the long example. I've kept in touch with lots of classmates. I still see Hal was my best friend in high school, and then there's Jim and my college roommate, and Stan and Sarah, who I met as a sophomore at Ohio State. I really like Jim and Stan and Sarah, but Hal, I can't stand him now. In addition to reintroducing given information, left dislocation is contrastive. In this example, Hal clearly contrasts with Jim, Stan, and Sarah, and as a result of its double function, left dislocation is typically used when speakers go through lists and make comments about each individual element in the list. Some languages exploit left dislocation more frequently than English does. In spoken colloquial French, left dislocated noun phrases are considerably more frequent than the equivalent basic sentences.
Mon frère, il s'en va en Mongolie.
My brother, he is going to Mongolia. My brother, he is leaving for Mongolia. Right dislocation, illustrated by the following sentence, is also common.
Je sais pas, moi, ce qu'il veut.
I know not me what he wants. Me, I don't know what he wants. Left dislocation in colloquial French has a different function from the equivalent operation in English. In French, a left dislocated noun phrase represents a topic. Left dislocated noun phrases are particularly frequent when a new topic is introduced into the discourse.
Pardon, la gare, où est-elle?
Excuse me, the station, where is it? Excuse me, where is the station? Did you get it? If you didn't, you can ask questions in the comment section below. Okay, now we're moving on to our next topic, which is the it cleft and the WH cleft. Clefting transformations are used in English and many other languages to mark information structure. Actually, this topic is a bit easy because it is also easy to recognize whether it is an it cleft or a WH cleft because the keywords are the it as the first word of the sentence and the WH questions on the first word of the sentence. You will notice it here in these examples. Sentence 1 is an it cleft and sentence 2 is a WH cleft sentence and sentence 3 is the basic sentence that corresponds to 1 and 2. Note, it could be between the first and second part. Better be observant and critical in analyzing. For a broader knowledge, you can cite it online, gather information, or check our official reference. Now let's move on to the passives. Passives is asserting that the grammatical subject of a verb is subjected to or affected by the action represented by the verb. As with other languages that have a passive construction, the choice between an active sentence and its passive equivalent can be exploited in English to mark information structure. Compare the following sentences. of these three sentences, all of which can represent the same situation. Sentence 1 is active, while the other two are passive structures. In 2, the agent is expressed bureaucrats, and the structure is called an agent-passive, again agent-passive construction. But because no agent is expressed in 3, it is called an agentless passive. Agentless passives and agent passives are used for specific purposes. An agentless passive serves well if the agent is particularly unimportant in the action or state represented by the sentence. For example, when the agent is a generic entity whose identity is irrelevant to the point of the sentence. Here are the examples. A new shopping mall is being built near the airport. These laws, however, no shoes are rarely enforced. In the first sentence, the agent is likely to be a real estate developer. In the second sentence, police authorities. In each case, the exact identity of the particular agent is either known or irrelevant to the situation represented by the sentence. In spoken language, agentless passives are often equivalent to active sentences with the indefinite and non-referential pronoun. They, as in these examples. They're building a new shopping mall near the airport. They issue new Christmas stamps every year. An agent-passive construction is used if a noun phrase other than the agent is the given information. Imagine a news report that begins as follows. The World Health Organization held its annual meeting last week in Geneva. This sentence establishes the annual meeting as given information for the rest of the report. If the next sentence uses the noun phrase the meeting, that phrase will likely occur in subject position because it represents given information. If the noun phrase the meeting does not have the semantic role of agent in the next sentence, the sentence is likely to be expressed as a passive construction in order to allow the meeting to be the grammatical subject. The meeting was organized by Health Administration from 50 countries. This generalization is not absolute, and there is nothing fundamental wrong with a sequence in which the second sentence is active rather than the passive predicted by the generalization. Like in this sentence, the World Health Organization held its annual meeting last week in Geneva. Health administrators from 50 countries organized the meeting. But the equivalent sequence with the passive second sentence flows better and may be easier to understand. The World Health Organization has its annual meeting last week in Geneva. The meeting was organized by health administrators from 50 countries. There you go, it sounds better. In English, the choice of a passive sentence over its active counterpart is regulated by information structure. Specifically, agentless passives are used when the agent is either known or not particularly significant. Agent passives are used when a noun phrase other than the agent of the sentence is more prominent as given information than the agent itself. If there is something you didn't understand in my report, you can freely leave a message in the comment section or approach me anytime.